Hello and welcome back to another video. If you're looking for recommendations on what manhwa to read, then here are some that I've read recently that might be of interest. Manhwa titles are timestamped in the video for your convenience. Our first manhwa for today is the 100th Regression of the Max Level Player, a regression manhwa, what do you know, that I've currently read up to chapter 61 on. Its main character is Min Ryu, an individual that has lived 99 lives so far, including this one that he's currently living through. His version of Earth has undergone a weird phenomenon where everyone between the ages of 15 to 29 on every first of the month goes unconscious for a little bit. Their souls were transported to a place that resembles the normal modern fantasy trope with towers and such. Ryu is now on the last floor of this death game, but to his demise, it requires a party of 5 to continue. So the game ends his existence then and there. Now in his absolute last time rewind, as the rune he initially got in his first life allows specifically for only 100 regressions, Ryu looks to recruit the people he believes to have the ability and character to clear this death game with him. The story is 8 out of 10. An interesting premise for sure. Having a limited set of regressions and already using up all of them by the time that the readers are introduced to Ryu serves as a good foundation for his outlook, personality, and abilities. We get to see Ryu go through what he has already countlessly gone through multiple times, but now with the new lens of having to persuade or get people on his side. This of course leads to the characters, which also gets an 8 out of 10 from me. Given the amount of lives that Ryu has gone through, personality shifting more towards a selfish and self-serving attitude is just bound to happen. Now, having to claw it back a bit to be a little bit more friendly will take some time to be actually genuine instead of self-serving. The art is a 7 out of 10. So far, it hits all of the necessary notes for a typical modern fantasy action manhwa. That's actually a lot of genres in once. But Ryu has a lot of advantage considering his experience, but now he has to apply all of those benefits not just to himself, but also those that he chooses to actually party with him. So if you're a fan of modern fantasy manhwas that has the main character go through multiple regressions and he has to make this final one count, then the 100th Regression of the Max Level Player would be interesting to you. This next manhwa to take a look at is an Insincere Idol's Blank Slate, a modern manhwa that I've currently read up to chapter 52 on. The protagonist of this story is Yoon Eden, an uptight and rude individual who is the leader of an unpopular idol group named Reeve that sprung back to popularity after a fan cam of a particular member in their group. After deciding that enough was enough, Eden was planning on leaving the group and continue being in the music world by being a producer. Instead, what ends up happening is that he is forcibly regressed back into the past with a system window in front of him that is trying to convert him to be a good little idol boy. Minus points for profanity or anything negative towards others or disrupting the team harmony causes him to, let's just say, not be in the system's favor. Now seemingly stuck in living this new life, even having to reset back after swearing a little bit too much, Eden will have to clean up his act or bear the consequences of having to live this life constantly over and over again, potentially forever. The story is 6 out of 10. A forced regression of someone that didn't necessarily enjoy his life as an idol is definitely a premise for a story. Eden will have to change his ways to truly get to the end, but by that point, Eden will have undergone so much positive brainwashing that things and he will be very much different by then. The characters are 7 out of 10. Yoon Eden is quite the unlikable, rude, and overall annoying individual. This continues onward, but you see the little bits of growth of Eden's prickly attitude as the system forces him to be a nicer and kinder person overall. Otherwise, the other Reeve idols are characters we slowly get to know over time. The art is 8 out of 10. With a focus on the Reeve members, of course, the designs of each character is very notable and easy to recognize just from the art alone. Expect a lot of performance poses and thus scenes that focus on the members' faces and other close-ups that emphasize their particular looks. If you enjoy pretty characters and in particular male ones, this will hit the dot. So if you're a fan of modern slice of life manhwas where the story is set around a particular idol group, then an Insincere Idol's Blank Slate may be worth taking a look. The Top Ranker's Guide to an Aspiring Writer Life is our next manhwa to take a look at. It's a modern manhwa that I've currently read up to chapter 39 on. Tae-hyun is the name of its main character. Introduced as an aspiring writer, Hyun is trying to pursue his dream of becoming an author, but is having difficulty writing a story that actually gets the approval of his editor, who, by his own credit, actually is giving Hyun a lot of chances rather than just discarding him completely. Hyun's editor tries to give some advice to Hyun by trying to keep things realistic within his own story, as he notes that the main character just can't one-punch threats like it's nothing, and it has to be real to some sort of extent. It's then of course revealed that Hyun is actually one of the famous 12 apostles of the modern fantasy trope in the Gate Dungeon apocalypse world of Earth. Known as the Thunder Emperor, Hyun does have the power to literally one-shot a lot of threats that he's writing about. Now, wanting to have an understanding of how the world actually works for people that are not in his position, or as strong as he is, Hyun will have to work at it a lot. The story is 8 out of 10. One of the most powerful humans in the world wanting to become a writer is such a wild little premise to go through. It's not even the case that he wanted to be away from the world, he just found his dream to be a writer one day when nothing seemed to catch his interest at all. Will it stay like this, or will he be forced back into active duty due to the impending situations at hand? Time will tell. The characters are 6 out of 10. My only real gripe with this manhwa is the main character's seeming ignorance with how the world works. You would think that as a writer, or at least an aspiring one, you would want to do a little bit of research or take in a lot of information so that it becomes a good source of inspiration. But Hyun just started writing randomly instead. Now he will have to make that journey himself, and the readers are alongside with him. The art is 7 out of 10. So far, there is a mix of slice of life with Hyun's writing, and then some action comedy with the various forced situations that he is getting wrapped into. Like I noted, I think the action will take a little bit more of a focus as things continue on potentially, but I've currently enjoyed more of the learning aspect towards a writer that Hyun is doing. So if you're a fan of modern fantasy manhwa where the main character is quite overpowered but wants a more simple and fulfilling life than being on top of the world, then the Top Ranker's Guide to an Aspiring Writer Life might just pique your interest. Our shorter story for this week is Trauma Center Dr. Baek, a medical manhwa that I've kind of read up to chapter 23 on. The focus of this story is on Baek Kang-hyuk. This manhwa actually is a little bit of a special one, as soon as I found out after doing a little bit of research, it's actually a prequel of another manhwa that's already completed. Please note that at this point, I've not read the original, but I plan to do so in the future. So for now, my impressions are on this manhwa by itself. Kang-hyuk is a medical resident who is determined to become a surgeon. It's shown to us that Kang-hyuk has actually quite the superhuman senses, which causes him to notice things that most people wouldn't be able to. Initially taking medicine to dull these senses to a normal level, he slowly accustomed himself to his heightened senses over time and now wants to use these abilities to save people. The potential is 7 out of 10. Considering this manhwa as a standalone one, the beginning is a little odd and super fast, as I can clearly see that you were kind of meant to know the original manhwa before reading this one. Barring that though, overall it's so far a decent experience that it's able to just stand up on its own once it actually is able to get started. The art is 8 out of 10. With medical manhwas in mind, and so far each one that I've read so far, I've personally enjoyed. I would say that I'm just a general fan of the genre at this point. This manhwa in particular is able to keep this enthusiasm of mine and enjoyment of medical manhwas in particular going. So if you're a fan of medical manhwas as a whole, then Trauma Center Dr. Baek will continue to further that enjoyment. Another week, another highlight. For those unaware, this is the section of the video I update impressions for manhwa that I've previously covered. Today's highlight is the Dang Clan's Swordmaster Heir just wants a normal life, which I've now read up to chapter 80 on. Info card description will have links to my original opinion. Tang Yeon-myeon, reincarnatee to the Murum world, has continued his dominance in said region. After eliminating all of the internal threats within the Dang family, establishing his mother as the matriarch of the family, which of course means that he's now the young master and actually holds the power, Yeonmyeon looks to the external threats that are too close and dangerous to ignore. Before doing so, he requires more strength and insight, which of course he's able to achieve to a potentially overpowering degree. Yes, he has quite an experience under his previous life's master, but this allows him to transfer this strength to his current life. After successfully dealing with very difficult external threats that put Yeonmyeon to his utmost limit, the manhwa is now slowly shifting to a more larger scale political murum, it seems. The shift is warranted and also nice to see, as it realizes my initial viewpoint of this manhwa having enough space to grow in scale and possibilities. My previous scores for this manhwa were 8 out of 10 for potential and 6 out of 10 for art. That potential translates to a 9 out of 10 for characters, as Yeonmyeon very quickly becomes ridiculously strong to the point of being overpowered, but not in the sense of pure dominance, but rather in that you expect him to not fail at any given situation given that confidence he bears. The fact that he also has a supposed venom snake companion and the enemies Yeonmyeon faces are humanized a little bit are just the cherry on top. On the other side, the story is translated to an 8 out of 10, as I'm happy to say that the space for possibilities is seemingly being utilized, as the scope for the story is now encompassing more than just the Dang family in Sichuan. Of course, more challenges and enemies await. The art, on the other hand, goes up 1 point from 6 out of 10 to 7 out of 10, as the action sequences, facial depictions, and emotional displays have continued to improve and, I believe, have found their style that is unique to this manhwa. Off the top of my head, I can't think of another manhwa that has a similar art style to this, at least in my cover titles. The Dang Clan Swordmaster Heir Just Wants a Normal Life has been a continued treat to read through past my usual potential phase. It has impressed me with Yeonmyeon's confidence and combat performance, and it can truly be mesmerizing at times with its art style. This manhwa is a definite recommend for fans of fantasy action manhwas in the Morim setting. Would you agree, or would you not? Comment down below your thoughts of the Dang Clan Swordmaster Heir Just Wants a Normal Life. Thanks so much for watching. Please like and subscribe if you enjoyed the content. Write down in the comment section down below what manhwa you've been reading, and I might just take a look. Till next time though, have a good read.